TomoNews presents Donald Trump.
How does a presidential impeachment work? With a backlash growing over recent Donald Trump controversies, including sharing classified information with Russia, a growing number of Democrats are calling for the president to be impeached. In the U.S., the process of impeaching an official is a three-step process, and often more political than criminal in nature. There are 3 offenses listed in the Constitution for which a president can be impeached: treason, bribery, or high crimes and misdemeanors. Since the third reason carries no definition, whether or not an offense falls under that category is up to the members of the House. Articles of impeachment are first reviewed by the House Judiciary Committee to determine if there are grounds for removal. The House of Representatives then puts the motion for impeachment to a vote. If the majority are in favor, the president is impeached, and the process moves to the Senate. A trial is held, after which the Senate votes for conviction or acquittal. If 2/3 vote to convict, the president is relieved of his position and can be barred from holding office. Historically, no president has ever been removed from office. Andrew Johnson and Bill Clinton were both impeached but never convicted. With Republicans currently dominating both the House and Senate, the likelihood of a Trump impeachment is slim. So unless damning evidence surfaces and Trump loses a significant chunk of support from his party, it seems the president is here to stay.
Trump updates travel ban. The Trump administration has unveiled an updated travel ban to make America safe by blocking certain foreign nationals from entering the country. Beginning October 18th, new U.S. travel restrictions will be implemented for visitors from 8 countries, an expansion of the controversial travel ban that took effect in January. The original ban included Iraq, Iran, Syria, Somalia, Yemen, Sudan, and Libya. Iraq and Sudan have been removed, while North Korea, Chad, and Venezuela were added to the list. The new rules vary per country, but will not affect legal permanent residents, nor those who already hold a valid U.S. visa. Restrictions on Venezuela focus on government officials and their families. Despite not being included in the ban, Iraqi citizens will reportedly face enhanced scrutiny when visiting the country. In justifying the ban, officials claim other governments had met U.S. requests for biometric passports or information on terrorists and criminals, but the 8 banned countries failed to do the same. Trump's initial travel ban has been widely criticized for religious discrimination, but despite the addition of non-Muslim nations to the new ban, critics believe it is still essentially a Muslim ban.
It's not that easy for the president to wiretap a civilian. Without offering any evidence, President Trump claimed on Saturday his predecessor Barack Obama wiretapped phones at Trump Tower during last year's election campaign. The president or intelligence agencies have to jump through a series of hoops to wiretap a target legally. The target would either need to be suspected of engaging in criminal activity or of being an agent of a foreign power. To obtain a Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act or FISA order, the FBI must first work with the Justice Department's National Security Division to make their case. That declaration must be signed by a senior intelligence officer, usually the FBI or CIA director, certifying the purpose is to collect foreign intelligence that cannot be obtained through normal investigative channels. A senior justice official then has to approve the order. Only 3 officials have this authority: the Attorney General, the Deputy Attorney General, and the head of the National Security Division. Final approval rests with a judge of the Special FISA Court. Only then can the order be served on the phone or internet provider of the target's number or email address. A spokesman for Obama has denied Trump's claims. Meanwhile, the White House has asked Congress to investigate Trump's allegations as part of a congressional probe into exactly what influence Russia had on last year's presidential election. This is what leaving the Paris Climate Agreement could mean for the U.S. U.S. President Donald Trump confirmed on Thursday that the United States is saying au revoir to the Paris climate deal signed 2 years ago by President Obama. Syria, Nicaragua, and the U.S. are now the only countries that are not members of the 2015 Paris Climate Agreement. The move to leave the deal will create uncertainty about the future of the renewable energy industry in the U.S. The U.S. coal industry wanted to stay part of the agreement to influence future negotiations. Critics say leaving the deal will weaken America's global leadership and could prompt China and other nations to implement a carbon tax on U.S. exports. The U.S. has so far paid a third of the $3 billion that President Obama pledged to the Green Climate Fund set up after Paris. The decision to leave the deal will save American taxpayers $2 billion, but could impact U.S. jobs in the renewable energy sector. The Paris Climate Agreement calls for a limit in the rise of global temperatures to no more than 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels by 2020. Scientists say an increase above that level could have catastrophic implications for the planet. It should be noted that even with the pledges made in Paris, the world is still on course for a temperature rise of 3 degrees Celsius within the next few years. So we're probably all screwed anyway. That is, if you believe in climate change. Which y'all do, right? Trump rails on the press over intelligence leaks. Donald Trump held a press conference on Thursday in which he claimed his administration is running like a fine-tuned machine, and then spent the rest of his time denouncing the press. Trump was supposed to announce his new selection for the Department of Labor. Instead, he used the news conference to rail against intelligence leaks, explain why Mike Flynn resigned as National Security Advisor, and defend his immigration ban. To take attention off his alleged Russia ties, Trump decided to pounce on the media. Once again, Trump had CNN in his crosshairs. BBC was lucky enough to get some love from the president, too. Trump especially took issue with media outlets turning intelligence leaks into stories, citing pieces from the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. Trump said, "The leaks are real, but the news is fake." Trump was referring to the information given to reporters that connected former National Security Advisor General Michael Flynn with phone calls to the Russian ambassador before Trump took office. Other reporters tried to ask Trump about the contacts his aides reportedly had with Russian intelligence officials. Naturally, he dismissed the stories as fake news.
Trump witch hunt. But Donald needs the Justice League. Anti-Trumpers have got it twisted, yo! U.S. President Donald Trump's first 200 days have been plagued by a witch hunt, with anti-Trumpers bent on upending the 2016 election. What's a billionaire playboy philanderer turned commander-in-chief to do? The Justice League could help. With both houses stalling America first, the Scarlet Speedster could really hasten the Donald's legislative agenda. And what about those swamp issues? Call an Aquaman. Also, something seriously needs to be done about the army of Obama-era deep state saboteurs trying to make POTUS a 45 cuck. Sounds like a job for Superman. And holy special counsel, Batman! Special prosecutor Bobby Mueller and the Fed's Russian witch hunt now has a grand jury. The world's greatest detective, with a little help from Cyborg, could put that to rest. Separately, these issues are stalemate struggles. Together, they're part of a war to shun the U.S. president. Election results be damned. But hey, when you're anti-Trump, democracy only matters when you're winning, right?
Someone's getting way ahead of themselves. The president of South Korea is rooting for Trump to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for helping bridge the North-South divide. And no, he's not joking. With the two Koreas now talking peace and denuclearization, President Moon Jae-in says it's mostly thanks to old Donald. The same peace-loving fella who threatened North Korea with nuclear annihilation just a year ago. Sure, the Trump administration has been hurling sanctions and insult tweets left and right, and breathing down both the North's and China's necks. But it's hard to say just how much of that is actually responsible for Kim Jong-un's renewed interest in peace, if he's even truly interested. Seeing Trump and Nobel Peace Prize in the same sentence is mind-boggling enough, but it isn't even the worst part. Former South Korean President Kim Dae-jung won the prize in 2000 for setting up a summit with the North. His widow wished the same to Moon, who then went on to endorse Trump. So the possibility of Trump being awarded a peace prize? Very real? He's definitely all for it. The rest of us, not so much. How Trump played the NFL. Trolls around the globe were in awe at how U.S. President Donald Trump this week handed out some major ponage to the NFL. What seemed like Fox-inspired tweets from the Commander-in-Derp were actually a series of Twitter touchdowns that stole NFL Sunday from the NFL and took hashtag national anthem into overtime. Remember how right-wing pundit Milo Yiannopoulos galvanized leftist protests when he spoke at college campuses and got bigger as a result? Trump did the same with hashtag national anthem, but on a national scale. Never feed the troll. And then there's NFL Sunday love for the flag itself. Patriotism and respect for the armed forces are central to game day and have been for decades. The fans love it for this. In other words, taking a knee isn't as good for business as saluting the flag and troops. This is something Trump knows. Big time. And all that kneeling isn't exactly going to finance those multi-million-dollar contracts now, is it? Hooray? Fox News reports that a new fleet of presidential limousines is set to debut this summer, with one of the Cadillacs already in the possession of the Secret Service. Wrapped in black and white camouflage during its testing phase, the new presidential vehicle is expected to sport styling elements similar to Cadillac's CT6 sedan. Known as Cadillac One, or by the Secret Service as the Beast, it will use a Kodiak medium-duty truck frame with custom-made body panels. The 7-seat interior is sealed to protect against a biological or chemical attack, with windows that can withstand armor-piercing bullets. The current edition of the Beast has a 20-centimeter thick heavy armor-plated doors and reinforced steel plate running underneath the vehicle to protect it from roadside bombs. The presidential limousine has tear gas cannons and a night vision camera, as well as a pump-action shotgun. Extra weapons, an oxygen supply, and bottles of the president's blood type are also on board. The fuel tank is armor-plated and encased in foam to prevent it from exploding. The Kevlar-reinforced tires are puncture and shard resistant, with steel rims that allow the car to continue driving if the tires are destroyed. Unlike the CT6, the Beast probably will not use the CT6's semi-autonomous drive system. Instead, it will always be driven by a highly trained agent who's skilled in defensive and evasive driving techniques. The vehicle bears the American flag and the presidential standard while traveling domestically. Cadillac has built every presidential vehicle since 1993. Cadillac President Johan de Nijssen told Fox News that the presidential vehicles have always been part of Cadillac's heritage and tradition, one they hope to carry on in the future.
Trump and Biden strap on virtual gloves in online throwdown. President Trump is hitting back with all his might at former VP Joe Biden. And by all his might, we mean he's tweeting. Biden drew first blood on Tuesday while speaking at an anti-sexual assault rally at the University of Miami. In reference to Orangina's grab him by the kitty cat comment, Biden said he'd beat the hell out of Trump if they were in high school together back in the day. Naturally, there was no way Trump was going to take that lying down. The commander-in-chief took to Twitter saying, "Crazy Joe Biden is trying to act like a tough guy. Blah blah blah, but he would go down fast and hard, crying all the way down. Don't threaten people, Joe. Give the American people what they want. A no-holds-barred beatdown between two geriatrics. Acting like children." Trump versus Biden, coming soon to pay-per-view.